Good morning. Good morning. It's late. It's like 6 o'clock. I slept in today. It was crazy. So I must have lots of energy because I've got my big old Dunkin' Donuts coffee to go. So I'm ready to go. You guys ready to go? This is the practice test. Test is ready and rolling. What in the world? We're at the practice test, kids. There it is. Woo. All right. So you're going to have to forgive me. I've been doing Algebra 1 all week, getting ready for that Regents exam. And so my brain's probably a little shot. Maybe I need a little extra coffee. I got to get my mind back into Algebra 2. All right. So we were given this information. We were told that both angles are in quadrant A and B, and we want to find the cosine of AB. So if I remember, I'm going to say, okay, now I'm going to go look at that. What am I trying to draw? So we're going to start with cosine A plus B. And of course, we got to go over to the formula sheet because we haven't memorized it yet. Yes, I have. But just in case you haven't, there it is, cosine A plus B. This is the one we're going to use right here. Cosine minus sine. Remember, it goes back and forth. So, cosine A times cosine B. Opposite sign for cosine. Sine A, sine B. All right. Let's see what we know. We know that the sine of A is 4/5. And pretty much that's it. Wow, Mr. Krause, you were so nice to us on this problem. Well, the good thing is it's 4/5. So, sine is 4/5. This is A. So cosine A is, how many of y'all put 3/5? Negative 3/5. You got to remember what quadrant you're in. Negative 3/5. All right. Now we got to figure out all this stuff about B. Let's figure out what's going on with B. So B is another triangle in quadrant 2. Must be bigger angle. I just drew a bigger. Negative 7 over 24. Now I'm pretty sure, but I'm going to triple check that this is 25. So I'm just going to come over here and just do on my calculator 49 plus 24 squared equals, okay, 49, I forgot something, plus 24 squared is 625. And by the way, I'm just going to you guys got to get in the habit of this. I want to take the square root of that. Taking the square root is the fastest way to do it. Is hit raising to the 0.5 or 1/2 power. It's the fastest way to take the square root of something. It's 25. So the cosine of B is negative 24 over 25. And the sine of B is 7 over 25. I should not have put this sign in here, by the way. 7 over 25. Probably need to calculate. Maybe I don't need this. Let's see. This is going to be. Oh, that's 24. Jeez. 3 times 24 is 72. So that's positive 72 over 125 minus 28 over 125. And let's see. 72 minus 30 would be 42 plus 2 more, 44 over 125. I don't know. Maybe that's right. Maybe that's wrong. Let's check it out. Go to the calculator. Negative 3/5, negative 29 over 5. So negative 3 divided by 5 times, that's going to cause us problems. Control division, negative 3 over, God, this is why I've been having, got to use my finger. All right, negative 3 over 25 times control division. I don't even remember anymore. Negative 24 over 25 minus, hell's the minus button? Minus control division 4/5, 7/25. 4 over 5. This is taking me an hour. Times control division 24. 7 over 25. 7 over. Oh my gosh, my way. I can't be that far off. Oh. What? Did I just hit delete? Hey, oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to pause it. I'll be right back. Hey, I'm right. Sorry. My gosh. You didn't want to sit through that. I have to type that thing in again. Oh my gosh. 44 over 125. I think it was a little faster to do it by my head. I think next time I'll just resort on this. I don't have my answer key with me, so I don't want to make mistakes. That means you guys get bonus. Anyway, final degree. Okay, to the nearest degree. By the way, after this problem, I'm going to have to pause it, and then I'll come back. 2 cosine. I'll tell you why in a minute. Cosine theta. Cosine theta. Oh my God. Could the factoring be any easier? -1 and +1. Hello? Factoring's a joke. So this one gives me cosine theta equals -1/2. And this one gives me cosine theta equals +1. +1 here and here. Do I include 360? I do include 360. So, and then when does cosine equal 1/2? Cosine equals 1/2 at 60 degrees, but we're negative, so that means we're in the left side of the bow tie, and we want 120, which is over here, 180 minus 60, and 180 plus 60 would be 240. So my answers for this one are 0 and 360 degrees, 120 degrees, and 240 degrees. All right, I'll be back. Okay, I've been having issues with my computer, and not because it's a piece of garbage. Actually, it's not a bad computer. It's just too slow to do all the videos. So anything more than 5 or 10 minutes, and the audio and the video start getting a little out of whack. You guys probably notice that on some of my videos. All right, so let's see this. Write a cosine function whose maximum value is 200 and whose minimum is 140 and whose period is 10 hours. What? Say what? All right, let's see if we can figure this out. So basically, here's what we got. We want the maximum to be 200. We want the minimum to be 140. And it's got to start at a min, a max, and end at a max. So let's talk about the midline first. The midline would go right smack dab down the middle of this. So let's see, what's between 200 and 140? Well, if I take 200 and I subtract 140, I get 60. So half of 60 would be 30. So divide by 2, I get 30. So I go 30 up, 170. So let's see what I got here. So f of x is equal to, oh, I already know my amplitude too. My amplitude is 30. So 30 cosine something with x plus 170. So the only thing I got left to find is my frequency. Right? The only thing I got left to go is my frequency, and frequency goes here. And remember, period is equal to 2 pi over frequency. Correct? Still with me? So I want to find out what f is. Well, the only way to do this is to use the idea that they just gave us over here, that the period is 10 hours. That's kind of weird, but who cares? Period is 10. So I know my period is 10. So 10 is equal to 2 pi over f. I'll cross multiply. So I get 10f is equal to 2 pi. Divide by 10. Divide by 10. This was the hard part of the problem, by the way. And my frequency is equal to pi over 5. 2 over 10 reduces to 1/5. So pi over 5. Pi over 5. Bodied. Write the equation of the curve as a cosine function and determine the period. All right. So we're starting at a min, ending at a min. So that means oh, I know why. Okay. So that means we're going to start with a negative. Got to start with a negative. Then we'll draw our midline, which is going to be right here, right down the middle. So our midline is plus 2. Put that at the end. Now, from the midline down is 1, and up is 1. So that's just negative cosine. I don't have to put a number there. And now I just got to figure out the frequency. Now, remember, frequency is defined as the number of complete cosine curves in 2 pi. So this would be 1, this would be 2, and this would be 3. So a 3 goes there. There's the function. Now, period is defined as 2 pi over frequency, or 2 pi over b. So 2 pi over 3. There's my period. All right, I'm going to pause again. I'll be back. All right, so sorry about all this pausing, but that's going to be the easiest way to deal with this. So find the exact value. Now, you guys remember that the words exact value mean if you give me a decimal, I'll give you something, all right. I don't want a decimal, but wait a second, maybe I do. Why don't we write down the decimal? Let's figure out what the decimal of cosine of 285 is. Cosine of 285. Oh, cosine. I forgot the 2. I forgot the 5. I hit it. I thought I hit it, but maybe I didn't. Cosine of 285 is 0.2588. I'm just going to write that down. 0.2588. Weren't expecting to be positive, were you? All right, but that would be a stupid answer. And by the way, the exact answer is not writing down all those decimals. That would be the even dumber answer. So what we need to do is we need to come up with 285 somehow. And I told you before, if it ends in a 5, there's like a 95% chance, actually it's probably like a 99.9% chance that there's going to be a 45 in it. So if I subtract 45 from this, I get 240. 240. Those add up to 285. All right. And they're both good angles. Why is 240 a good angle? Because 240 minus 180 is 60. And the angles we want are 30, 45, 60, 90, or 180 if we want those, or 90 or 0 too. So, all right. So this one is cosine minus sine. All right. So what goes in there? Cosine 45, 240. Sine of 45, 240. All right, let's see what we got here. So the cosine of 45 is the square root of 2 over 2. This is really 60. Be careful with the sine. The cosine of 240, which is the cosine of 60. The cosine of 60 is a half. But since we're in the third quadrant, it's negative a half. Minus the sine of 45 is the square root of 2 over 2. And the sine of 240, the sine of 60 is the square root of 3 over 2, but we're in the second quadrant, or third quadrant, so it's negative. So if I take all this stuff, put it in my calculator, this is square root of 2, this is negative radical 2. Negative and a negative make a positive, plus the square root of 6 all over 4. Now, if I take that thing and put it in my calculator, I'm just going to do negative radical 2 plus radical 6, enter, divide by 4, enter. I get 0.2588, the same number I get up here, I get down here. So although this was stupid to do, I now know I have 100% the right answer. Remember what I told you. You are going to see sines and cosines in the same equation now because I've taught you both. So, and you learned a trig identity, and I said one of the most important trig identities you're going to learn is sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1, which yields two equations. It yields that sine squared theta is really equal to 1 minus cosine squared theta, and cosine squared theta is really equal to 1 minus sine squared theta. And I told you before, you can only replace angles that have a 2 in it. Cosine 2 theta or cosine squared theta. Sine 2 theta or sine squared theta. We can't replace regular old cosine. So we're going to replace this. That's what we're going to replace. And we're going to replace it with 1 minus cosine squared theta. So 2 times 1 minus cosine squared theta plus 5 cosine theta plus 5 equals 0. Now we're going to distribute, so you get 2 minus 2 cosine squared theta plus 5 cosine theta plus 5 equals 0. Now because my cosine is negative, my squared is negative, everything has to go to the right side. So 0 equals positive 2 cosine squared theta minus 5 cosine theta. Of course, you can show this work if you want. I choose not to. 5 and 2 make 7. Bring it over to the other side, it's minus 7. So now I'm going to factor it. Keeping my 0 equals so I look professional, not like a dirtbag. Skadirtbag. I don't even know what that means. So 2 cosine theta, sorry for the small writing, and cosine theta. The only way to do it is 7 and 1. I think 7's got to go here and 1's got to go here. I need negative 5, so we'll make this negative 7 and positive 1. So this gives me cosine theta equals positive 7 over 2, or cosine theta equals negative 1. Now you should know 7 over 2 is bigger than 1, so that answer is not going to yield anything. This one will. Draw my picture. And it equals negative 1 right here at 180 degrees. So all that work for 180 degrees. Done. I'll be back. Wow, that's a pain in the neck. Every time I do that, I got to leave for like a minute and come back. Maybe not quite a minute. All right, so find all positive values of theta less than 360 degrees. Less than, which means we cannot use 360 degrees, where this works. Okay, I told you before, we can only replace things that are 2's in them, like this right here. See this 2? I'll highlight it for you in yellow. So, cosine 2 theta. I want to replace cosine of 2 theta. Now I'm going to come over to my formula sheet. Now I see that I have sine in here. So I want to come over to my formula sheet and say, oh yeah, I'm going to replace you with the thing that only has sine in it. By the way, this is notes for I did online for the next week. We already done those. All right, so I want the one with sine. It's this one right here. So I'm going to replace cosine 2 theta with 1 minus 2 sine squared theta. I got to remember to do the 2 sine squared theta. So 2 we're going to replace, and then minus 3 sine theta equals 1. Now this was 1 minus 2 sine squared theta. All right, now we're ready to roll. So I distribute 2 minus 4 sine squared theta minus 3 sine theta equals 1. Since this is negative, everything goes to the right side. 0 is equal to 4 sine squared theta plus 3 sine theta. And we're going to bring this minus 2 over here. Ooh, that's awesome. Minus 1. Don't you love when the number there is 1? Because then any factoring is like usually a joke. I hope you didn't start with 2 and 2. This one's going to be 4 sine. You got to start to recognize things. This This is 3. 4 minus 1 is 3. So 4 sine theta and sine theta. And then 1 and 1. We need it to be positive, so this will be positive and this will be negative. So my two answers are going to be sine theta equals positive 1/4 and sine theta equals negative 1. Well, this one, let me draw a picture for sine theta. And that's right here is negative 1. That's at 270 degrees. So that's one of our answers. Sine of 1/4. Hey, I got to go with my calculator now. Inverse. Inverse sine. And I'm just going to do 0.25, which is the same as 1/4, just a little bit easier. 14.477. Theta is equal to 14.477. Do I need more than that? 1/10 of a degree, so 14.5. So theta is equal to 14.5. Now, since this is positive, I want to keep this angle. So far, my angles are 14.5 and 270. I just need to get the other one that goes along with this. Now we're sine. Sine is positive on the top. So I'm going to take 180. 180. And subtract off this and get like what, 165.5? 165.5. So my last angle is 165.5 degrees. Let's see how long I've been going for. Hey, I can get one more problem in. Given that cosine theta equals that, and look, check this out. My angle is in the fourth quadrant. Fourth quadrant. All right. And this is really this is the same as cosine of 1/2 theta. You remember there's a 1 right here. So I know I need to go to my formula sheet. Remember what that formula for the half angle is. So it's square plus or minus the square root of 1 plus cosine A over 2. So cosine 1/2 A, or theta, is equal to plus or minus. Now I don't know in this case whether it's plus or minus. 1 plus, it was plus, right? 1 plus cosine A over 2. 1 plus cosine A over 2. So this is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 plus all over 2. Now I'm going to replace that with what it's equal to. Cosine theta is equal to negative 7 over 25. Let's see. 18 over 50, 9 over 25, 3/5. The answer to this is eventually going to be, I think, 3/5. But let's see if we get this. Plus or minus. Now, what I want you to do is, and I'm just going to show you this. I'm just going to show you this. I want you to do control division. 1 plus, parentheses, control division, negative 7 over. Why every time do I press negative does it not let me do negative? Negative, control division, 7. The negative is in the right place. Over 25, all over 2. And you get 9/25. So 9/25. And I'm going to do plus or minus 3/5. So that's not the right answer. Now this one's, cosine's particularly easy with this one. So here's what we got to do. My angle is in the fourth quadrant. That's between 270 and 360 degrees. That's theta. So half of theta has to be half of this, between half of this and half of this. Well, half of 270 is 135. And half of 360 is 180. So if I take half of that angle, my new angle's got to be between 135 and 180, or somewhere over here. And clearly in the second quadrant, cosine is negative. So my final answer is negative 3/5. I'll be back. All right, so just because I want you to know a little bit more than just this, minimum is defined as d minus amplitude. Maximum is defined as d plus amplitude. So d is 1.5. It's this number right here. So this is going to be 1.5. My amplitude is not -4. My amplitude is 4. So d minus 4 or d plus 4. Be careful with that. So this would be 1.5 minus 4 would be -2.5. And this would be positive 5.5. So the answer simply is -2.5. That's my minimum value of g of x. Just for fun, my frequency is equal to 3. My period is equal to 2 pi over 3. And don't worry about the phase shift. Boom, shakalaka. That problem's bodied. Find the exact value of cosine 2x. So this is the double angle formula, and I want the one that has sine in it, apparently. And if I haven't memorized it yet, it's right here. I actually probably still have it highlighted. Yep, there it is. We want the one with sine in it, so we're going to use this one again. So 1 minus 2 sine squared a. So cosine of 2x is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared x. But I want to remind you, this is really equal to 1 minus 2 sine of x squared. So what does that really mean? It's really 1 minus, I just do it right here, 1 minus 2, and what goes in there is -10 over 12. -10 over 12. So that's the thing I'm going to type in my calculator. 1 minus parentheses -10 divided by 12 out of the parentheses. You'll see squared. I forgot the 2. -1 or 1 minus 2, that thing squared. Enter -7 over 18. -7 over 18. Almost forgot the 2. That would have been bad. How many solutions over the interval for this equation? All right. So I really basically what I want to do is I want to graph this. So it has no midline. It has no midline, or the midline in this case is the x-axis. We're going to start at a minimum, which is -1.5. And let's see, my amplitude is 1.5. My b value is 2. My period is equal to 2 pi over 2, which is really just pi. So, and my x scale should be pi over 4. But they didn't do that, so let's do that. This would be pi over 4. This would be 2 pi over 4. This would be 3 pi over 4. This would be 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and I still have this in there. That's a mess. And over here we'd have 6 pi over 4 and then 7 pi over 4. So it's not really that necessary to do all this, but I know it's going to begin here, and every other one is a begin and end on a max, in between on a min, in between is a min. Or excuse me, because it's negative, we're going to begin and start on a min and end on a max, begin and end here, and we're going to go up here. So in between there, so you should have graphed something. Hopefully that wasn't, seriously, there's just coffee. There's just coffee in my coffee mug, not anything else. I mean, look at that curve. That's awful. The question says, how many solutions exist over this interval where it equals -1? Well, here's -1. So how many solutions? 1, 2, 3, 4. The answer is 4. Moving on. One more. What is the solution set for this equation? So we've got negative square root of 2 secant x equals 2. Well, I'm going to divide by negative square root of 2. So I get secant x is equal to 2 over negative square root of 2. That looks a lot like 45, but I'm just going to use my calculator. Why do I keep doing that? Inverse secant. Now, don't put the negative in. Don't put the negative in. What do we got here? Of square root of 2, 2 over the square root of 2. 2 divided by the square root of 2. This should be 45. 45 degrees. So 45 degrees. Now, this is secant. Secant goes with cosine. It's its reciprocal function. And cosine is negative on the left side. And so is secant then. So I need two reference angles of 45 degrees, but I need them in the second quadrant and the third quadrant. So 180 minus 45 and 180 plus 45. And I hope you're getting good now. You know that's 135 and 225. Yay. Okay, we'll stop there. Come back. This is going to take forever every time I have to stop like that. Man, oh man. Okay, notice we can't include 360, so just make sure we don't. And here's the squared term. We're going to replace this. We can only replace the squared, so I can replace that with 1 minus cosine squared theta minus 9 cosine theta minus 3. You got to remember it. Go back and look in the notes. We just did it a few seconds ago. 5 minus 5 cosine squared theta minus 9 cosine theta minus 3 equals goose egg. Move everything to the right side. So 0 equals 5 cosine squared theta plus 9 cosine theta. Now 5 minus 3 is 2, positive 2, but when it goes to the right side, it becomes negative 2. Now if you need to show all those steps, show all those steps. I'm okay with that. You know I'm okay with it. So it's got to be 5 cosine theta and cosine theta. And this is going to be plus 2 and minus 1. So this one gives me cosine theta equals 1/5, and this one gives me cosine theta equals negative 2. Goodbye. Can't be negative 2. Wait, first of all, let me make sure I got the factoring right. Positive 10 minus 1, that's positive 9. So this one's gone. So the only thing, this is the only one that's going to yield answers. Excuse me. Let's go over here, and we're going to do inverse cosine of 1/5, which is 0.2. I could put 1/5 in there. It's the same thing. 78.5. So theta is equal to 78.5. Now, since this is positive, I'm going to keep that as one of my answers, 78.5. My other answer is going to come from where cosine's positive in the fourth quadrant. So 360 minus 78.5. 360 minus, and I get 281.5. 281.5. The Sea Dragon pendulum ride at the amusement park moves from the central position at rest according to the trigonometric function, blah, 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 where t represents time in seconds. How many seconds does it take for the pendulum to complete one cycle? Well, wow. Lots of words. Must be a really hard question. I give up. I quit. Please, sir, may I have $1? I need $1, sir. I quitted on English class as well as math class. What if I said this? Given, why is that thing there? Given P of t equals negative 10 sine pi over 3t. What is the period? Would you think that was a hard question? Because it's the same question. How long does it take to finish one full curve? That's called the period. Period. That's called the period. 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 Just period. It is period. That's all we got to do. Period. Well, I know my period formula is equal to 2 pi over b. Well, this is getting an even easier. 2 pi over 3. Oh, no. All right, kiddies, you got to get used to it. Dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So this is equal to 2 pi over 1 times the reciprocal, which is 3 over pi. The answer is 6. Boom! Shaka-laga-laga. Cosine of 2a, and I have only sine. I only have sine. So I'm going to use that formula I've already got memorized. Cosine of 2a. I just wrote 8. Weird. 2a is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared a. But then I want to remind myself, because I like to remind myself things, that this is really equal to sine squared a. And I know what sine squared a is. It's the square root of 5 over 3. Now, it says in simplest form. So we got to freaking do some simple. I think the calculator actually did this one for me. But this is going to be 1 minus 2 times 5 ninths. If I square the 5, I get 5. If I square the 3, I get 9. So this is equal to 1 minus 10 ninths. So 9 ninths minus 10 ninths is negative 1 ninth. Now I think the calculator will do this for us, but let's just check. 1 minus 2 parentheses, the square root of 5 divided by 3 squared. How do you get to that? Menu, number, approximate the fraction. That's funny. By the way, if you gave me that as an answer, I would say you're wrong. What you need to do is negative 1 divided by 9, and you get control division. It's negative 1.11. I don't know why that is so stupid. Whatever, man. There's the answer right there. How many minutes are we in? 6 minutes. I think I can go. 1 force of 20 pounds and 1 force of 15 pounds act on the body, so the resultant is 19 pounds. Now, if you remember correctly, I said draw one small one, draw one long one. So 15 and 20. And the resultant is 19 pounds. Find to the nearest degree the angle between the two original forces. So I need to find this angle. Now, if you remember correctly, you can't find that angle. Finding that angle is not possible. But you can find this angle. So we're going to find this angle. We're going to call this x. And this will be x over here as well then. And if that's 15, this is 50. Now, you should know by now, if you've got side, 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 therefore we're going to use the law of cosines. And these two are the things that are going to be on the outsides of the law of cosines. Let me write the law of cosines for you, because I know that you're like, wow, I don't remember the law of cosines. A squared is equal, you don't remember the law of cosines? You come over here and there it is right there. A squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. Well, in this case, these two things are going to be our outside things. So 19 squared is equal to 20 squared plus 15 squared minus 2 times 20 times 15 times the cosine of A. Do not do all of this at once. This needs to be broken down into two pieces. So this, oh man, 19 squared, is that that's 361, I believe. 19 squared, 361, is equal 400 plus 225, that's 625, minus 40 times this would be 600. Cosine A. You're going to bring the 625 over. Minus 625. So, minus 625, done. I'm going to do it in my head. Negative 264. So I get negative 264 equals negative 600 cosine A divided by negative 600 and divided by negative, let me put negative in this time, 600. 11 over 25. Now write that down. Cosine of A is equal to 11 over 25. Now we're going to do the inverse cosine of that. So I want to do inverse cosine of this. And I get 63.896. So A is equal to 63.89611. 89611. And I want to round it to the nearest degree, so A is equal to 64 degrees. But wait a second, that's not the answer, chillin'. Remember, we just found this angle. We want this angle. Okay, so if I want that angle, I have to take 180 and subtract off 64, and I get 116 degrees. There she is, children, the answer. A surveyor is mapping a triangle. Oh, I think I need to stop. Hold on. Yep. Man, she's gone for like 5 minutes. That took forever. A surveyor is mapping a triangular plot of land. He measures two sides and the angle formed by these two sides and find that the lengths are 400 yards and 200 yards and the included angle is 50 degrees. What is the measure of the third side of the plot of land to the nearest yard? So 400, 200, and the included angle is 50 degrees. And we want the side opposite that. Well, there you go, kids. Another example of the law of cosines. So a squared equals b squared plus c squared. This is the easy one, right? Minus 2 bc cosine a. Now, these two things are the things we either want or have. So I want that, I have that. So those things go on the outside. So x squared, that goes here, is equal to 400 squared plus 200 squared minus 2 times 400 times 200 times the cosine of 50. Now remember, when I type all that in, I'm going to get squared. So 400 squared plus 200 squared minus 2 times 400 times 200 times the cosine of 50. Now when I type all in, I'm going to get some large number. Woo, 97153. 97153.98245 9824502. Now, I want just the square root of that. So remember, kids, the easiest way to take the square root of something is just raise it to the 0.5 or half. And I get 311.69. So 311.69533. Round to the nearest, what is the nearest yard? Nearest yard. So x equals 312. Done. Whoa, what the? So the sides of a triangular plot of land are 50, 80, and 100. Law of cosines coming. And we got to find an angle, which is the hard law of cosines. I hate when I have to find an angle with the law of cosines. It's so much more difficult. 50, 80, 100. Find to the nearest degree the measure of the largest angle of the triangle. Using this answer, find the area of the triangle to the nearest square meter. Oh my God, this is like a double whammy problem. Well, first of all, you have to know that the largest angle is opposite the largest side. So we're going to be looking for this angle here. So these two things have to be on the opposite side. So we're just going to start going. X squared is equal to 50 squared plus 80 squared minus 2 times 50 times 80 times the cosine of x. Oh, well, x, this should have been 100, right? This should have been 100, right? Because we're really looking for this. Okay, so 100 squared is 10,000. 50 squared is 2,500 plus 36. 25 and 36. 25 and 35 is 60. 6,100. Minus, let's see, that's 400. 800 times the cosine of x. Subtract 6,100, I get 3,900 equals negative 800 cosine x. Divide by negative 800. Something's not right, children. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this much math in my head. 50 squared plus 80 squared. 2,500. Oh, it's 80. I did. What did I do? Oh, I did 80. So what is that? 8,900. So 10,000 minus 1,100. So I get 1,100 is equal to, now, 2 times 50 times 80. Oh, 8,000. Jesus. All right, maybe I shouldn't be doing math. Oh, yeah. 5 times 8 is 40, and 2 zeros is 8,000. Man, that'll make more sense. Cosine x. Divide by negative 8,000. I was going to end up with an angle that didn't make any sense. So maybe I shouldn't do as much math in my head. So this, enter, divided by negative 8,000. It's negative 11 over 80. So cosine x is equal to negative 11 over 80. So x is equal to, now remember, with the law of cosines, I actually want you to put the negative in. So 97.903. 97.903. So really x is equal to 98 degrees. 98 degrees. So now I'm going to use that area formula that I know. Area is equal to 1/2 AB sine of C. Now that I know that this is 98 degrees, I can't believe that. Now that I know that this is 98 degrees, I will use these three numbers in my formula over here. So area is equal to 1/2 times 50 times 80 times the sine of 98 degrees. To figure out my final area is, so 0.5 times 50 times 80. I could have just put 4,000 in, because now I know it's 4,000, times the sine of 98 degrees. 1980. To the nearest square meter, 1981. Boom, shakalaka. Did that problem take 10 minutes? Yeah, it took enough. Stop. I think on the next break, I might have to go get some coffee because I'm dying and the Dunkin' Donuts is empty. Hopefully some of these go quicker. Divide by 5, divide by 5. I get secant theta equals 8 over 5. That's okay that that's bigger than 1. It's sine and cosine that can't be bigger than 1. So I come over here, I do a little inverse secant of 8 divided by 5, and I get 51, let's see, rounded to the nearest degree. I'm going to save myself a little bit of time. Theta is equal to 51 degrees. Now, cosine is the same as the reciprocal function of secant, and it's positive on the right side. So I am going to keep 51 because it is positive, 51 degrees. And then I'm going to take 360 and subtract 51, and I get 309 degrees. Wow, that was much faster than the last problem. So I want to replace this, and I want to replace it with something that has cosine in it. So I could, let me go over here real quick. I'm going to replace it with this one. 2 cosine minus 1. So we're going to go 2 cosine squared theta minus 1 plus 17 cosine theta equals 0. All right, now I distribute. I get 6 cosine squared theta minus 3 plus 17 cosine theta. Now that's out of order, so let me get it in order. 6 cosine squared theta. How many of y'all saw that when you're doing it and fixed it before? So you don't have to write this line twice. I would have. 17 cosine theta minus 3 equals 0. Now how many of you at this point realize before you even do anything that 3 times 6 is 18, which is really close to 17. So I'm going to leave this as 6 cosine theta and cosine theta. I'm going to put the 3 here because that gives me 18. This is 18 right here. And this is 1. I want positive 17, so I'm going to be positive 18 and negative 1. So my two answers are cosine theta equals 1/6 and cosine theta equals negative 3. This one has to go because it can't be bigger than 1. So I come over to my calculator and I do inverse cosine of 1 divided by 6. And I get theta is equal to 80.405931. So theta is equal to 80.403981, rounded to the nearest degree, 80 degrees. Theta is equal to 80 degrees. Now, because it's positive, I'm going to keep it 80 degrees. And I want the one that's in the fourth quadrant because cosine's positive in the first and fourth. So I take 360 and subtract 80 and I get 280. Great. What is the period? See, this is the same as that last question. Period is equal to 2 pi over b. This is your b value right here. I don't care how complicated the equation is, that's your b value. So it's 2 pi over 8. Flip and multiply, so 2 pi over 1 times 8 over pi. The answer is 16. Find the exact value. Exact value means don't use your calculator, except you can use it to check. So this is going to be equal to cosine of 45 plus 120, right? Don't those add up to 165? So I know this is cosine minus sine. That's the formula. All right. Let's see. Cosine of 45, square root of 2 over 2. Cosine of 60, remember this is a reference angle of 60. Cosine of 60 is 1/2, but it's in the second quadrant, and I know cosine's negative there. Sine of 45 is the square root of 2 over 2. And the sine of 60 is the square root of 3 over 2, and it's in the second quadrant, so it's positive. So this is negative radical 2 over 4 minus radical 6 over 4. So my final answer is negative radical 2 minus radical 6 all over 4. So I want to graph cosine of negative cosine 2x. So let's graph that. So the amplitude is 1. The frequency is 2. The period is 2 pi over 2, which is just pi. and the scale is pi over 4. This one, my amplitude is 4, my b value is 1, my period is 2 pi over 1, which is just 2 pi, and my x scale is pi over 2. So I got to use pi over 4 as my scale. Oh. I've already put the scale on there for you. So for the blue one, we're going to put in a blue scale because we need a blue scale. So pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. Negative pi over 4, negative 3 pi over 4, negative 5 pi over 4, we're doing all the odds, and negative 7 pi over 4. Now, neither one of them had a midline, so we're in good shape. And the amplitude for the blue curve is going to be 1. But it's negative to start, so for the blue curve, we're going to start and end on a minimum, and in between will be a maximum. And why is it this way? Because we got to get 2 of these. 2 pi. Start and end on a min. In between's a 0. In between's a maximum, I mean. Wow, that was freaking awesome. Let me switch to purple. Now, purple is a sine curve, correct? So sine curves. So, and its scale are these ones. This one, this one, this one, and this one. So this one will start and end at a 0. 0 in the middle. And is it positive or negative? It's positive. So in between will go up to 4 and down to negative 4. Zeros, zeros. So the question is, how many values of x are in the solution set? So all I want to know is how many times they hit each other. Let's see. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. 4. I think I got to stop. All right, here we go again. Oh, I got this way blown up. All right, so we can't include 360 on this one, just as a heads up. I can only replace squares and 2 angles. I don't have that, but I have this thing, which is really annoying. Secant. I hate secant. So I'm going to replace that. So you got to remember, secant is really 1 over cosine of theta. But the 3 really belongs to the numerator because this is 3 times. It's really 3 over 1 times secant. So this becomes 12 cosine theta minus 5 over 1 times 3 over cosine theta. So that's the first part and the first tricky part of this problem. Now we're going to cross multiply. So I'll spell this out. We're going to get cosine theta times 12 cosine theta minus 5 equals 3. Just cross multiplying. Now I'm going to distribute, so I get 12 cosine squared theta minus 5 cosine theta equals 3. Now I'll bring the 3 over. 12 cosine squared theta minus 5 cosine theta minus 3 equals 0. Now we got a factor. I'm pretty sure we're going to do 4 cosine theta and 3 cosine theta. I can't put the 3 there, so 3 would have to go here, and the 1 would have to go here. And this is 9 and 4. 9 and 4 would make 5. I want negative, so this is positive, and that's negative, and this is positive. Because this is negative 9, and this is positive 4. Okay, there we go. So my 2 answers are cosine theta equals 3/4. No problem there. And cosine theta equals negative 1/3. No problem there. We're going to get 4 answers. All right, so let's do the inverse cosine of 3/4. So inverse cosine of 3/4, 0.75. 41.4. What do we want to round to on this one? Oh my gosh, nearest minute. All right, let me erase this. So we got, oh man, this problem's going to be crazy. So now I got to DMS this thing. Nearest minute, 41, 24, 35. 41, 24, and 34 seconds. Now, if I want to round this to the nearest minute, this is going to round this up. So 41 degrees and 25 minutes. And because it's positive, I'm going to keep that one. 41 degrees, 25 minutes. Now, I want one in the 4th quadrant, so I'm going to take 360. I'm going to subtract off. I'll just subtract off this whole thing, and I'm going to DMS it right away. And I get 318. The 25 would not round, so 318.35. So 318.35. Now we're going to do 1/3. So we're going to do inverse cosine of 1 divided by 3. DMS it. And I get 70 point. Now 4/3 is going to round it. So 70 degrees, 32 minutes. Theta is equal to 70 degrees, 32 minutes. Now, I don't want to keep that one because it's negative. So I want, negative is in the 2nd quadrant. So I'm going to take 180 and I'm going to subtract off this and DMS it. And I get 109.28. 109 degrees, 28 minutes. And the other one is, same thing. But we're going to add it. And DMS it, so I get 250. Now this 43 rounds this to 32. So 250, 32. 250 degrees, 32 minutes. Woo! That was a pain in the keister. All right. Two trotocks apply a force to pull a ditch. Force, 1,500 pounds. 2,000 pounds result. Find the angle between the 2 applied forces. All right, so one small. I don't care if they're one away from each other, one long. 1,500 and 2,000. And the resultant is 3,000. Find the angle between the 2 applied forces, round to the nearest degree. So I want to find this one, but remember, I can't find that one. I have to find this one. And you'll also remember, if I have to find an angle with side, 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 that's the law of cosine. So we're going to do this quickly. 3,000 squared equals 2,000 squared plus 1,500 squared minus 2 times 2,000 times 1,500. Times the cosine of x. We're going to isolate this and this, do them separately. So 3,000 squared is, I don't even know what that is, 9 million. So 9 million, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 equals 2,000 squared plus 1,500 squared. 6,250,000. So 6,250,000. I think I got an extra. Nope, that's right. Minus 2 times 2,000 times 1,500. 6 million. Cosine x. The hardest part about this part are these stupid numbers. Man, I should have picked better numbers. So we're going to take this. I'm not even going to pretend to try to type those in because I'll miss a 0. This minus this, enter, divided by the negative of this equals negative 11 over 24. So cosine of x equals negative 11 over 24, which is really close to a half. So this answer should be really close to 120 degrees. So I'm going to get x equals, now we're going to do inverse. Why do I do that all the time? Enter. Inverse cosine of this. 117.279. What do we round to the nearest degree? 117 degrees. Now, that's this angle. I don't want this angle. I want the other one. So I have to take 180, subtract off 117, and I get 63 degrees. What happened? Graph the following function. Oh, well, what the heck? We'll do it anyway. Told you I wasn't going to ask you about pi, but we'll do the phase shift. A is equal to 3. B is equal to 2. Period is equal to 2 pi over 2, which is just pi. My x scale is pi over 4. My d value is 2, so that's y equals 2. And what else do I need? I got a c value. I forgot to write down the c value. The c value is positive pi over 4. So my starting point is pi over 4 comma 2. So 1. Oh, I got to get to 2 pi too. Man, this is me being a jerk. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, pi, 4 pi, 5 pi over 4, sorry, 3 pi over 2, 7 pi over 4, and 2 pi. So I'm just going to go every other one. Pi over 2, negative. Negative pi. Negative 3 pi over 2. And negative 2 pi. All right. Wow. All right. So, and I also have to draw in my midline. So what's our max and min? Max is 2 plus 3, which is 5, and our min is 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. So I got to make every one of these 1, 2, and negative 2. So I'll draw in my midline. Well, positive 2. And I'm going to put a big black dot where my starting point is. My starting point for cosine is, my starting point is not this. It is pi over 4 negative 1. So this is going to be my starting point right here. Pi over 4 negative 1. Every other one, these two, man, this is me being a jerk, I think. So in between here and here would be zeros. That means this one would be a 0. This one would be a max. This one would be a 0. So this would be a 0. This would be a max. This would be a 0. This would be a min. This would be a 0. This would be a max. This would be a 0. This would be a min. This would be a 0. Woo, man. A is 2, B is 2, C period is equal to 2 pi over 2, which is just pi. My x scale should be pi over 4. I'm going to get rid of this right now, so you don't have to worry about that. My, let's see, my midline D is equal to y, -3. So y equals -3. Good enough. So again, I got to do an x scale every one of these. So pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, pi. 5 pi over 4, 3 pi over 2, 7 pi over 4, and 2 pi. 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, pi, negatives, of course, negative pi over 2. We got a midline of y equals -3. And don't worry about the phase shift. I'm not going to worry about the phase shift. I got to try to remember to get that out. So anyway, let me get a dot where my starting point is going to be, if this is my midline and my amplitude is 2 and it's a +2, so I'm going to start 2 up and end 2 up, and in the middle is going to be a 0. Or I mean a minimum. In between those will be 0, so it looks like this. Oh, that was fun. Hopefully I'm done graphing. Oh, I think we only got a few left. Oh. Okay, I think we're done. One last video and I'm finished. Oh, man, we got the easy ones. All right. Which function does cosine, cosine, plus sine, sine? Well, I know that's a cosine function. And if I come over to my formula sheet, I need the one that does cosine, cosine, plus sine, sine, and that's this one right here. Well, that comes, cosine, cosine, plus sine, sine comes from cosine of the angles subtracted. So we're going to come back over here, going to come back over here, and we're going to realize, hey, this is cosine of A minus B, where A is 100, minus B, which is 40. So really this is just equal to the cosine of 60 degrees. Close to. Which one does cosine, cosine minus sine, sine? That's the cosine of A plus B, where A is 190, B is 35. So that's the cosine of 190 plus 35, and that's 230 degrees. No, it's not. That's 220. That's the cosine of 225 degrees. All right, 225 is one of my nice angles. That's got a reference angle of 45. So what am I really asking you for? I'm really asking you for the cosine of 45 degrees in quadrant 3. Well, that's going to be negative. And the cosine of 45 degrees is the square root of 2 over 2 and negative. Boom. Shaka-laga-laga. How many complete cycles? So, that's frequency. The answer is 2. That it? I'm done. Wow, that was it? All right, that's it. All right, kids, study. Good luck. Maybe I'll put another video up. Been doing so many videos lately. I'm driving me crazy. All right, bye.